management approach that involve breaking down of projects into phases and continuous collaboration and improvement, which are called sprints, where cross-functional team works collaboratively to deliver working software. Next slide, please. Okay, let's go to what is quality assurance. QA stands for quality assurance because I will be making use of QA in the further slide. QA stands for quality assurance. We are also being called a software tester, quality engineers, automation testers, and such. It is a discipline of or process within software development that focuses on ensuring the quality and reliability of software products or system. And the main goal of a QA is to prevent defects or issues by implementing systematic process, conducting testing, and identify area for improvement. And if QA is also focuses on making sure that quality and reliability of software products. Next slide, please. Please. Okay. Can you go back to the previous slides? Yeah. So QA roles in Agile methodology. We have the, let me say, Agile practice varies across different organizations. So, and the following are some key aspects of QA roles in Agile methodology. And we have the early involvement, Agile ceremonies, defining acceptance criteria, testing planning and strategy, test planning and strategy, continuous testing, bug tracking and reporting, quality metrics and reporting. Next slide, please. So we'll be discussing on each of them shortly. Now, early involvement. Quality assurance professionals are involved from the very beginning of the project because they collaborate with the product owners, the business analysts, and stakeholders to understand the requirements and the user stories. And by involving the QA from the early start of a project, it will help to identify potential issues and risk and ensure that quality consideration are addressed upfront. Next slide, please. So, Agile ceremonies. Agile ceremony in a QA team members actively participate in an Agile ceremony such as the daily stand-up, the sprint planning, sprint review, and retrospective. Which the telling that the daily stand-ups is a time box meeting held every day to share updates and what to do next, which all the team members answer three major questions. The what did I do yesterday? What will I do today? And they do mention of the blockers. And also they provide update on testing progress, highlight any risk or issues, and contribute to the improving the team's process and practice. And on diagram, you can see these are the Agile ceremony that most teams use. Next slide, please. Yeah, defining acceptance criteria. QA work closely with the product owner and the development team to define clear and measurable acceptance criteria for each user story. QA has to be involved when we go through the acceptance criteria because even from the acceptance criteria, you start carrying on your statistics testing, which from there you can start raising a bug or a defect from these stories. These criteria act as the basics for testing and determine whether the user story has been successfully implemented. Next slide, please. Yeah, test planning and strategy. A QA is responsible for creating a comprehensive test planning in agile methodology. And these strategies that outline the testing approach, type of test to be carried out on the project, and the environment that will be used for the testing for the project, and also the test data requirements. The plan also include identifying the scope and the scope, which may probably you're going to be using automation or manual testing, or you'll be using you have to use the both testing method. Next slide, please. Yeah, as a QA role in agile methodology, yeah, we're also responsible for tracking and reporting defects, issues identified during testing. You have to when you test and you raise a bug, like you have to call the attention of the developer. You assign the bug to the developer to work on it, and which after has been done, you carry out a regression testing on it to make sure that the developers work on it and not also have affected the working code before the before the bug is being fixed. And we have different tools in carrying out our bug tracking. We have the Jira, we have Lighthouse, we have Track, and we also have the our normal Azure DevOps as well. And regular reporting ensure that the team is aware of the current quality status and progress toward resolving defects or bugs. Next slide, please. Yeah, in conclusion, overall, the QA role in Agile methodology is focused on integrating quality practice into every stage of software development, ensuring early detection of bugs, defects, or errors, and facilitating continuous improvement to deliver valuable and high quality software products. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, guys?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. But I want to say that when we were having meeting in the morning, I think you were asked to maybe in this presentation to give us the role of QA in all the meetings on Agile from the point of team shattered, sprint ceremony, daily stand-up, retrospectives, and others. So I think you only gave us maybe during sprint planning or maybe during acceptance. So I just want to ask, in retrospectives, what are our roles as a QA? Thank you.
Okay, can we make it a discussion basically? People, because this is more like a theory based learning now. So I think it's let's just have an open discussion. Everybody will just be contributing. So from what I understood, you just wanted to know the role QA in all the Agile ceremonies, yeah?
But I can quickly answer that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's fine. You can answer. Then I want other people to suggest
Okay,
contribute as well. So that's
of the time.
okay.
Yeah, I can say one or two things before any other contribution. I'll say during sprint retro, which is held at the end of the sprint, at the end of the 2 weekly sprint. So where we give an update about what went well during the sprint, how we can improve, and maybe if we had any blockers during the sprint, how everything was resolved and how we can improve. And if there's any further action that needs to be done or for the previous sprint, that will also be highlighted as well. So that's basically what happens during a sprint retro. I don't know if something wants to add more.
Okay, I was just going to ask, like I said, agile practices varies across different organizations, and a role of a QA in retro, because retro is an essential component of agile methodology, and the regular meetings is being held at after each sprint to reflect to the team performance, the processes, and identify. That's where we identify what went well, what didn't go well, and where we can improve. So that's where the QA roles comes in neutral. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think here basically here is for most important thing for us to know, to understand, to know the various ceremonies that one that you have within the agile, so because like I said, I will mention it's something that you can say during your interviews, because if you talk about the way you work, your ways of working, basically, these are the things that you can mention, your daily stand-ups, your retros, and your refining meetings and all that. So the most important, I think, for me, the takeaway here is uh, for us to go away on understanding the various ceremonies that happens within the agile and when they do happen. So understanding the ceremony that do happen and when do they happen. Then the question of what's the role of a QA is, for a QA, basically, as an individual within, we just need to participate basically in what's going on. If there's a ritual going on, for example, and then because you've been part of the team, so you'll be able to mention what has gone well within the team, to say thank you everybody for this has gone well. You'll be able to say, oh, this we didn't do well in this area. For example, maybe QA has struggled to deliver on their testing. Maybe you finished testing late, or maybe the developers are developing or some, because sometimes the QAs are the one like finishing, because you have to wait on the developer to finish before you testing. So before you finish your testing, you're hitting the last day of the sprint, and then you're struggling to finish, or in some cases you don't finish, and then the task is carried over, and everybody's looking at the QA as if to say it is your fault that we didn't finish this user story within the sprint. And then, so this is where you'll now be able to say what the problem is, what is thing you think is making QA to finishing late. Maybe the developer doesn't finish their work on time for the QA to pick it up and all that. And then that is where shift left approach comes in, basically. How do we test as early as possible within the sprint, so that you don't sit down and be waiting for the developer to finish the entire feature or user story before you start testing. So from my experience, basically, so what we normally do, we will now break the user story into small testable chunks. So the developer starts working today. By next day, they have a bit of a story for you to test. So you'll be testing them in chunks, in small chunks. So you don't have all the user story to be tested in one day, and maybe a day before the sprint ends, and then that won't give you enough room to raise bug and the bug fixed. So, but if you're testing in small chunks, and then you'll be able to identify bug early enough, deliver fixes it, and then all that. So these are the things that you might have to be identifying during your retro. So what I'm saying basically is for us going away from here, knowing these are the ceremonies that happens within the agile, and then as a QA, you have to participate, whether in daily stand-ups, giving your reports, and in retros and all that, basically. So, so if we're happy that from the presentation being done, at least we know the spring ceremonies. And I think the other thing is that we have to participate during those ceremonies. So my question is that, are we happy that we know these ceremonies that happen within the sprint? If within the agile ceremonies.
Yes.
Okay, so that's fine. I think so. The role of QA is for us to participate within those ceremonies, and if it is daily stand up, give your reports. If it is retro, comment on what went well, what didn't go well, ways of improvement. If any other comments and questions?
Yeah, sorry. Is there any way you can throw more light on the core values of Agile? Because there's a reason why people are kind of moving from waterfall to Agile. Is there any way you can throw more light on the core values? That's, we can have more understanding on that. Yeah, maybe something or
The question for Samson?
anyone can help. Yeah, because it's true.
Okay. Your question was why people are moving from waterfall to agile methodology, right?
Yeah, because we have a kind of about four core values. Why values of Agile, and for me, I think those values are kind of the things that could be the things that really we have other benefits of Agile actually, but this could be the reason or some of the reasons why some people are moving from waterfall to Agile.
Okay, to my best understanding, I'll say waterfall methodology gives you this opportunity to break the project into smaller chunks, and that's where we'll break it into sprints, having like 3-4 sprints. And from the presentation, that's where we have. Sorry. Now, okay, agile methodology, you go from plan to design, develop, test, deploy, and review. Then we'll launch. Then it will go back to it again through the second sprint and over on the third sprint. Why the waterfall methodology is just straightforward, and how do I put it now? You have to the developer has to finish working on a project, then you have to test. Every part of the team has to work different aspects, not working together at once like it was in agile methodology. Maybe Mr. Chris wants to help us more.
Yeah, basically you've captured it basically. So the core benefit of our agile way of working is the iterative way of delivering product. So you don't wait for, okay, you are working on this application or this functionality. You have to wait until every part is ready before, so we can be, for example, the rate homes or whatever application we are developing. So you can say, okay, we don't wait until every part of that website is ready before we can go live. We must say, okay, we identify the core areas of this project. That's okay. The user can start registering, start logging in, and then basic function they have to use, and then while other services will be added to it as as time goes on. So we incrementally delivering on in particular product in incremental form. We're adding to it continuous improvement into that application, basically. Unlike the waterfall, you just have to wait until everything is done, and then maybe test, and then it's ready. So in that one, if it comes with a huge cost, if, for example, like there's maybe when COVID happened, and then many people have to change the way of working, so those kind of things wouldn't give you room for to make instant change into your processes, basically. But this iterative way of working, so okay, things have changed. We intended to go this way, and there's a news out there tomorrow that we have to change our design of our application. So that can Agile give you a way of be able to make those kind of incorporation into your application. Be able to, because it's not rigid that it has to be this way, basically. So I think that's why many organizations are buying into it, because it's flexible, in terms of approach, and gives you room to make changes and modifications and all that as you go on. I guess that helps. And then if there's any other addition to that, someone can do as well. This meeting is so quiet. Is it because it's not Deji that is anchoring it, man? Thank you.
Sorry, I have personal question.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that test plan is a different document, and test strategies is also a document on its own. So if they ask us to write a test plan, is it possible to combine the both documents to be in a one document, whereby we have as a test document, but inside that test document we also have test strategies, approach, and other subheadings in it? Or we should have test plans separately as a document, and test strategies as a sub document that we will be presenting as we are going on implementing our projects. So I just want to have clarification on that.
Yeah, test plan and test strategy document. I've not written test strategy document at work before. I only done test strategy documents, during my training in Blue Sky. It's not a document that you go to work and they will ask you to write a test strategy document, basically. But what I have done is like a test plan. So for every, just do a small test plan for every maybe user story you're working on, basically a kind of like on the task board that we normally do. Just have a way to say, okay, this particular user story I'm working on, I'm going to be obviously doing your manual testing, doing your automation, maybe UI automation, maybe if there's going to be API testing within that user story as well, you're going to state those, that these are the ways. So someone looking at that will know, maybe your test lead or product and look at that, we'll be able to say, okay, for this particular user story, this is the approach you're going to be using. You're doing a manual testing, they will know that, oh, I'm going to be running UI automation as well. You're going to be running API automation on that as well. So that captures that kind of test plan for that particular particular user story. So the test strategy document is more encompassing document that has to deal with the entire project or the entire, maybe if you're talking about the QA now, basically from beginning to end, how the tools you're going to be using, the resources, and who will be doing what and all that. So that's a very, very broad document. So for example, like I said, I'm not sure you get to work and they will ask you to write a test strategy document, basically. But the most important for us to know what probably are the contents of those documents.
If I may also add one thing, test strategy and test document are totally different. Test plan and test strategy are totally different, or test approach are totally different. So yeah, even you cannot mix and match and say, okay, they asked me to write a test plan, because of that I'm going to merge them together. It's not done, right? So each one of them has got their own content, like Chris mentioned now, right? So you have to abide with the content. But I know that in some cases, test strategy may have an element of test approach inside, right? But if you look into that, there's a format for each one of these things as well. So Google for the format of test strategy, and I think test plan. Is it IEE 829 or something like that? That is it's a standard format. Do you get it now? It's like what do you call pro forma invoice? Or do you get? You already got what should be in each of the section. So you just need to feed that sections. So it's already got a standard format. Even at interview, they will ask you, what do you put in your test strategy? So what they're asking for, what are the standard format, standard content that you need to put in that particular document? It's always the same. Is the title or the content is the same? Is no. The subject is always the same. Is the content that will be changing, right? So if I may just clarify that, thanks.
Thanks, Deji. So any other question, guys?
Thank you.